So today, obviously, no, there's nothing to be sorry about. So today, obviously, is a big day. What? Today, yeah. Mekachim halayla hilach achar hayom. So today's Chav Dalet Teves, the yard site of the Alter Rebbe. On the Rebbe would verbring, the Rebbe would always verbring on the night after, not on the. As it states that when someone says a Torah from someone is Yira Ki'ilu Baal Hashmo Oimed Kinegdei. And when learning Tanya, we have to envision as if the Alter Rebbe is standing over here next to us. So it's a big schus to be sitting over here on the Alter Rebbe's yard site and to be learning Torah by Rabbim, learning his Torah, learning Tanya. And hopefully by the time that we finish, we'll have a minyan, Asarim Yisrael, a minyan learning Tanya. And the schus of learning Tanya should stand us all and all of Klal Yisrael for everything that we need, Begashmius, Beruchnius, and all the brachas, and all our heart's desires. And today, Mir Hashem, we are going to be finishing Perek Lamed Hey. We will be starting Mir Hashem Perek Lamed Vav, and that's really special to be starting Perek Lamed Vav on the yard site of the Alter Rebbe, because you could say that the foundation of the Torah of the Alter Rebbe is in Perek Lamed Vav. Very, very, perhaps the most foundational Perek in the theology of Chassidus Chabad, in the philosophy of Chassidus Chabad. So without further ado, let's get started. We're holding on page Mem Hey, which is opposite of page 88. And we're holding 3 lines from the bottom, where it says, V'ayidei zeh mamshich. And let's recap a little. In this perek, we're talking about the reason why it is that in Yiddishkeit everything comes down to la asoysay, to hamaiso ha'ikar, to action. Why isn't beficha enough? Why isn't bevavcha enough? Why isn't it enough the mitzvahs we do with our mouth, the mitzvahs we do with our mind, the mitzvahs we do with our heart? Why isn't it enough to love Hashem, to fear Hashem? Why is it dafka that you have to have ma'aseh b'peil? So the Rebbe explains that connection to Hashem is only through doing a mitzvah. Only through doing a mitzvah. My love of Hashem, my fear of Hashem, that doesn't connect me to Hashem. That doesn't bring a hashras hashchina, because the only way to have hashras hashchina is through bittul. It's through nullification to Hashem. And my love for Hashem, my fear for Hashem, it's not bittul, to the contrary. That's me. That's expressing my mitzias. That's expressing my identity. It's what I love and what I fear. Where is bittul to be found? Bittul is to be found when you're doing a mitzvah. And the mitzvah, why is it important for the mitzvah to be dafka and maisa? Why does it have to be an action? Why do we have to have action mitzvahs? Why does Torah have to be primarily about action? Why isn't it enough that we should sit and learn Torah and daven and connect to Hashem through loving Him and fearing Him, and through davening or learning or whatever other mitzvahs that are related, not in action? Well, the Rebbe says that in order to connect my nefesh elikis to Hashem, in order to connect my neshama to Hashem, so for that, it's enough. I can sit and I can learn Torah, I can daven, I can do the mitzvahs that are not action related, and through that connect to Hashem through that mitzvah, that spiritual mitzvah that I am doing. If I want to, however, connect my guf and my nefesh habahamis to Hashem, I want to connect my body to Hashem, I want to connect my nefesh habahamis to Hashem, the only way to do that is through action, because when I act, I'm using my nefesh habahamis, because my nefesh habahamis is what? It's the vivifying force of my body, and the only way that the nefesh elikis can manifest itself in my physical body is through by way of my nefesh habahamis. So when I do a mitzvah, I'm also elevating my nefesh habahamis. And here the Alter Rebbe says last week we learned like this: when I do a mitzvah with my hand, say I give tzedakah, so that energy, the energy of my nefesh habahamis, which is doing the mitzvah, so that energy, actually let's do this inside. Dahainu, let's do 5, we'll start again 5 lines from the bottom. Dahainu, when a person does a mitzvah, shekoyach nefesh achiyunis, that energy, that power of the Nefesh HaChayunis, from the Nefesh HaBahamis, Hamlubeshes Basiyas HaMitzvah, which is right now invested in the doing of this mitzvah, Nichlal Mamish Be'er Hashem, is completely subsumed in the light of Hashem, Umiyuchad Bei Biyichud Gomer, and completely connected to Hashem, completely united with Hashem. And through this, Mamshich Ha'ara, L'klalos Nefesh HaChayunis Shebechol HaGuf, through that we bring down a Hashras HaShchina on the entire Nefesh HaBahamis, which is in the entire body, V'gam Ala Guf HaGashmi, and also on the physical body itself, B'bechinas Makif, in a way of Makif. Makif means in a transcendent way, in an encompassing manner, Me'reishe Va'ad Ragla, from the person's head to the person's foot. So when a person does a mitzvah, the energy of the Nefesh HaBahamis that actually went into doing the mitzvah, that energy is completely subsumed in Kedusha and is united with Hashem. The entire Nefesh HaBahamis, not the energy that went into the mitzvah, the rest of the Nefesh HaBahamis, as well as the entire Guf, also unites with Hashem when the person is doing the mitzvah. But that, the Alter Rebbe says, is b'bechinas makif, not in an internal way, but in somewhat of a transcendent way. Meaning to say, if there was a Hashras HaShchina on the Nefesh HaBahamis in a way of pnimius, internally, then the Nefesh HaBahamis wouldn't be a Nefesh HaBahamis anymore. If godliness was revealed in the Nefesh HaBahamis in a very internal way, in a way that it can relate to, then it would become a Nefesh Elikis. It wouldn't have any more negative desires. It would lose its identity. It would lose its ego. But when a person does a mitzvah, so even though that internally the Nefesh HaBahamis isn't impacted, but in a way of makif, in a transcendent way, the entire body and the entire Nefesh HaBahamis is connected to Hashem. And this is Mei Reishay V'ad Ragla, from the person's head to the person's foot, until the person's feet, the entirety of the person, the entirety of the body, the entirety of the Nefesh HaBahamis, and the entirety of the Nefesh Elikis is connected to Hashem. The only question is the connection in a way of pnimius, or in a way of makif, in an internal way, or in a more of a external way. So the Nefesh Elikis is connected to Hashem when a person is doing a mitzvah b'pnimius. Even in the Nefesh HaBahamis, the actual energy of the Nefesh HaBahamis, which is invested in doing the mitzvah, is connected to Hashem in an incredible connection in a way of pnimius. And the entire body and the entire Nefesh HaBahamis is connected to Hashem in a way of makif.
How long this connection, when you do a mitzvah, you connect it to Hashem? Actually, when you do only the mitzvah, or staying a little bit longer because you innovate?
So this we discussed earlier in chapter 23. And the answer the Alter Rebbe says is that this yichud depends. Above, in the heavens, the yichud is eternal, because over there everything is timeless. So there's no such thing as was, is, will be. However, the person is under the jurisdiction of time. So by the person, this unity lasts until the next time the person does an Avera. And this is why it says in the Zohar, which we learned earlier on in this chapter, the Shchinta Sharia al Reishe, that the Shechina is upon the head of the person. Remember we learned earlier, the Zohar says the reason why we have to go with a Yamalka, because the Shchinta Sharia al Reishe, the Shechina is above the head of the person. And again, the point here is above, is we can see that there's a Hashras HaShchina, the Shechina is present, but above the head. It's not something which is internally processed, but rather remains above. And similarly, we find the Chazal tell us, Akol be'asara Shchinta Sharia, that wherever there are 10 Yidden, the Shechina is present. But what is the word he uses? Akol. What does Akol mean? On top of every minion of Yidden, there is the Shechina present. So once again, we have the idea of the Shechina being there, but not in a way of premius, but rather in a more makiftika way, in a more encompassing way. Now, these two Mamari Chazal of Shchinta Sharia al Reishe and Akol Be'asar Shchinta Sharia are not talking about when a person is doing a mitzvah. We always have to wear a yarmulke, even when we're not doing a mitzvah, because Shchinta Sharia al Reishe, because the Shechina is above our heads. And the same things when we say that Akol Be'asar Shchinta Sharia, when we say that wherever there are 10 Yidden, the Shechina is there, that doesn't mean necessarily when the Yidden are doing a mitzvah. Alter Rebbe says this very clearly later on in Tanya Ger Sakoy the Siman Chav Gimel. Alter Rebbe says over there, on page 272. He says, Alter Rebbe says, like I heard from my teachers, if there was one malach, was standing in the presence of a minion of Yidden, of 10 Yidden, who are together, even if the Yidden are not speaking in the words of Torah, Tipol alav a masav efachad, this angel would be overcome by an incredible fear, beligvul v'tachlis, without any limits, a fear without any limits, b'shchinta deshari alayhu, from the shchina that is upon a minion of Yidden, ad shoyim izbatel mitziyusay legamri, to the point that this malach would be vaporized, it would completely lose its mitzias, it would explode from the incredible shchina which is there whenever there's a minion of Yidden. Alter Rebbe over there continues, Alter Rebbe there is talking about how when there's a minion of Yidden gathered together in a shul and people are stam wasting their time, and they're talking to Dvarim B'Teilim, how disrespectful this is to the shchina that's there. And again, this is a shchina which they're, even if they're not davening at the moment, even if they're not learning, the fact that there are 10 Yidden together brings about an incredible hashras hashchina. But again, it's akolbe on top of them. It's in a way of makif. It's not a shras hashchina which is transformative. It's not a shras hashchina which the people there can relate to. That's why it's called makif. It's above them, but it is over there. So we're learning in this perek that hashras hashchina is always a result of bittul. You can't have hashras hashchina without bittul. Without bittul to Hashem. And that's why when a person does a mitzvah, that's where there's hashras hashchina. But now we're saying that there could be hashras hashchina even without a mitzvah. We're saying that the reason why we walk with a yarmulke wherever we go is because the shechina is always there, even when we're not doing a mitzvah. And when there's a minion present, there's even greater hashras hashchina, obviously, right? Because if everywhere a yid goes, there is the shechina, me'al reishay, the shechina, right, is l'mayla, what's the lashon? L'mayla mi reishay. Shchinta shari al reishay. Then what's accomplished when we have 10 Yidden? So obviously when there are 10 Yidden together, there's an even greater Ashras HaShchina. But in this perek, we just finished saying that the way to have Ashras HaShchina is to doing a mitzvah. So obviously there are different levels in Ashras HaShchina, but all of them come about through bittul. In perek Vav of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says, earlier we learned this in perek Vav, it says, "Ve'ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu shoyra ela al davar shebatel etzlo yizbarach." Hashem does not reside. There is no hashras hashchina unless there's something which is batel, which is what we're learning now also. Bein bepoyel mamish, whether the bittul is actual bittul, kimalachim el yonim, like the malachim above who are completely batel to Hashem. Bein bekoyach, whether this bittul is in potential. Kechol ish Yisrael lamata, like every single Jewish person down here, that has the potential is batel mamish legabe Kadosh Baruch Hu to be completely batel to Hashem, b'mesiras nafshei al kedushas Hashem, because every single yid has the potential to give up their life al kiddush Hashem. Says the Alter Rebbe, the reason why that there's ashras hashchina on a yid, on every yid, is because every yid has bittul. We're being very clear here. There's only ashras hashchina, connection to Hashem is only through bittul. So why is it that every yid has ashras hashchina? Because every single yid has bittul. The only thing is that by most of us, I'm walking around and I'm not feeling very bittul. I'm not acting very bittul. But even when I'm not feeling bittul, even when I'm not acting bittul, the fact that we know that every single yid, if put to the ultimate test, will give up his life al kiddush Hashem, that means that in potential, bekoyach, in potential, every single yid is bittul. And therefore, every single yid has ashras hashchina. Bring 10 Yidden together, and this Hashras Hashchina is magnified due to the presence of 10 Yidden. However, none of this can be compared to the Hashras HaShechina when you're doing a mitzvah. Why? Because, yeah, there's a certain level of Hashras HaShechina that is on every single yid at every single moment due to the fact that he or she is potentially batel. But when you're doing a mitzvah, it's not a potential bittul. When you're doing a mitzvah, it's an actual bittul. So therefore, the Hashras HaShechina and doing a mitzvah is a much greater Hashras HaShechina than that Hashras HaShechina which is always. So there are many levels of Hashras HaShechina. There's Hashras HaShechina of every single yid, regardless of where and when they are. There's Hashras HaShechina over there. And then there's Hashras HaShechina when 10 yidden come together, which is even greater Hashras HaShechina. And then we have the Hashras HaShechina when a person sits and learns Torah. And there's a much greater Hashras HaShechina because there, Yishkoyach Ramosha. You're the minion. We're talking about the Hashras HaShechina that when there's Asara Yisrael. And then there's when a person sits and learns Torah. So over there, it's not only B'koyach, the bittul to Hashem is not only B'koyach in potential form, but you're actually being batel to Hashem when you're learning Torah. However, that Hashras HaShechina only extends, as Dr. Rebbe says, on the Nefesh Elikis. And when a person does a mitzvah, an action mitzvah, then we have actual Hashras HaShechina, not only on the Nefesh Elikis, but also on the Nefesh HaBahamis. It continues, Dr. Rebbe, and says, V'hinei, kol b'chshchinas hamshachas eir hashchina, all of these different hamshacha of the Shechina. Hamshacha means the bringing down of the Shechina. She bechinas gili oir ein seif baruch hu, which is the revelation of the infinite light of Hashem. Einay nikra shinui chas v'shalom b'y yisbarach, that in no way creates a change within Hashem, v'lei riboy, or any sort of multiplicity. Meaning to say, we're learning now that all these different levels of Hashras HaShechina. Here there's Hashras HaShechina on one level. Here Hashem resides in one way. Here Hashem resides in another way. Here Hashem resides on one level. Here Hashem resides in another level. But don't we know that Hashem is Ani Hashem Leisha Nisi, that Hashem is one, and Hashem is unchanged. So how can we talk about different levels of Hashras HaShechina on different places? Answers the Alter Rebbe. This is what we learned in the Sechta Sanhedrin. The Amar lehahu mina l'Rabban Gamliel, that there was a min. A min is a heretic. The Rambam says a min is someone who doesn't believe in Achdus Hashem, doesn't believe in Hashem's unity. So this heretic told Rabban Gamliel, Amiritu, you guys say that kol be'asara shchinta shari, wherever there's 10 yidden, the shchina is present. So kama shchinta isluchu, how many shchinas do you have? If there's a million of yidden here, there's a million of yidden in Australia, a million of yidden in Eretz Yisrael, a million of yidden in Moscow, so does that mean that there's many shchinas, chas v'shalom? V'heishiv, and Rabbi Gamliel answered, mashal ma'ir hashemesh. This can be understood by a mashal of the light of the sun. Hanichnas b'chalenis rabin, that comes into many different windows, chulu. V'maskol yavin, and the one who understands this. Meaning that just like the sun shines, and there's only one sun, only one sign. And where does it shine? If you open your window, it comes into your house. You close your window, it doesn't come into the house. Now, if I open 5 windows, are there 5 suns? No, there's one sun. And if I open 5 windows and then I close them, did I impact the sun in any way? The sun is the same. And the same thing is by the Eibishter. The Eibishter doesn't change at all in any way. The question is, what windows are we opening up to Hashem? When 10 Yidden come together, we're opening up a very big window for Hashem. When a Yid does a mitzvah, you're opening up an even bigger window. And you're allowing in more of Hashem's oir into your life. It's a shayla you're asking. Hold your question. By the time we'll finish today, your answer should be answered. Melech means that when there are a lot of people together, the king is glorified. It doesn't mean a change in the king. But for those of you who are familiar even a little with Chassidus and with Kabbalah, you know that the energy that emanates from Hashem is referred to as oir, referred to as light. In fact, as we spoke long ago, when we're learning Perek Beis, the biggest chiddush of Kabbalah. That's a big statement I'm making, right? That Kabbalah says many things, but what is the biggest difference in the way of thinking between a Makubal and the way it was before Kabbalah came around, or the way of Chakira? Is the Chakira separated everything into Chakira, the philosophers, the Jewish philosophers, the Rasag, the Rambam. They separated everything into two categories. There's Hashem, creator, and then there's the creations. Kabbalah came along and Kabbalah introduced us to a new idea, which is called Oir. And Oir, it isn't Hashem, and at the same time it isn't the creation. It's somewhere in between. It's godliness. It's not God, it's godliness. It's godly. It's that which emanates from Hashem, the energy that emanates from Hashem. And the question that's been asked is, why is this energy that emanates from Hashem, why is it called light? Why is it called Oir? We know whenever we employ physical terms to describe anything about Hashem, so we know that that's anthropomorphic. They're anthropomorphisms. Some people, they think of the Oir and stuff and they envision these huge lights, these huge... we're not talking about light. Light is a physical thing. Light was created by Hashem. Light is not godly more than anything else, any creation. Just when Hashem created it, He said, "Vayi Oir," there will be light. And beforehand there was no Oir, there was no light, and it has physical properties. It travels at a certain speed, etc. So why would the energy that comes from Hashem, why would it be called Oir? In fact, it would seem that there is a more appropriate name for the energy that derives from Hashem, and that is Shefa. And if you look in the Svarim of Chakira, there you have the idea of Shefa. Shefa, the best English translation is effluence. It's a fancy word. Effluence means that which emits from, that which comes from. But the word Shefa doesn't describe it in any way. All it says is there is something, and something that emits from it, that comes from it. So wouldn't that be a better term to describe the energy that comes from Hashem rather than Oir, which has very distinct properties? Why would you want to ascribe those properties to the energy that comes from Hashem? So different answers are given in Chassidus explaining this, explaining how the different attributes and aspects of light are actually all the way it is by Hashem. For example, we're not going to talk about this too much today, but one example is that the idea of Oir is always davuk in the moir. Oir is always connected to its source. When you take away the source, the light is no longer. If you put a big heater in this room, so it emits heat. Take out the heater from the room, what happens to the heat?
No heat.
No heat. It's going to become cold right away.
No, take a few minutes till...
Take a few minutes, a few hours, right? But if you turn off the light, it doesn't take a few minutes or a few hours, because light can't exist unless it's davuk in the moir, unless it's connected to the moir. So that's one attribute of Oir. And that's true regarding the Oir that comes from Hashem, that emits from Hashem, is that it can't separate. Oir is automatically always connected. That's just one example of the attribute of Oir, which is given to explain the reason why it's called Oir. But another point which is relevant over here is the idea that when you have what's called a Ma'ir is the source of light, whether it's the sun, whether it's a fire, a candle, whatever it may be, it gives off light. But it doesn't have to work to give off light. It's natural. And moreover, like we said earlier, you want light, open your window. You don't want light, close your window. It's something, it doesn't invest itself in it. It doesn't invest itself, it's there, it gives off life, but it is not changed by whether or not that light is received or it isn't received. And that's another reason why we call the Oir in Saf Oir, because Hashem Himself is unchanged. Nothing impacts Hashem Himself. Ani Hashem Leishanisi. The question is, how many windows will we open up in order to be able to receive that light? But Hashem Himself remains unimpacted, which is another reason why in Kabbalah we talk about the energy of Hashem as Oyer, because that implies that the Moir, which is Hashem, the one giving off the light, is unimpacted by where that light reaches or doesn't reach. So with that, we've concluded Perek Lamed, but there's something else that we need to point out over here. We've discussed over here a number of levels of Asheras HaShechina. Right? We talked about every Yid has Asheras HaShechina. Just naturally, why? Because every Yid is potentially Batal to Hashem. We talked about the Asheras HaShechina of a minyan. We talked about the Asheras HaShechina of a mitzvah. But our Ahava and Yira is no Asheras HaShechina. The fact that I may love Hashem or fear Hashem doesn't give me any Asheras HaShechina at all. Because that's not bittul.
But it brings you closer to Asherat Hashem.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't bring you closer to anything. It brings you closer to feeling good about yourself. It brings you closer to feeling spiritual. But in terms of connecting to Hashem, that's a very important point from this Perek. You connect to Hashem only through bittul. So there are two types of bittul possible. One is the natural bittul that you have, which expresses itself in the fact that you would go and give up your life al kiddush Hashem. That's a potential bittul. And the greatest bittul is when you actually do a mitzvah. But your love of Hashem and fear of Hashem, that's you. That's ego. That's I love, I fear. There's no Asheras HaShechina. So you're going to say, so now.
The Hav Tanigim says it takes you to me Mois Bara.
Sorry?
It says in the Hav Tanigim, that's Tzadigum, that's Mois Bara. No, that's.
Av and Yira are extremely important. And we'll see why later. We're going to start with the importance of Av and Yira is going to begin in Mirz Hashem and Perek Lamed Ches.
Every mitzvah, they're one wing.
They're the wings, right. And actually that's already the key to understanding it. That they themselves are not Asheras HaShechina. They enhance the mitzvah. So the Asheras HaShechina is in the mitzvah. They enhance the mitzvah, and we'll learn that again at length later on in Perek Lamed Ches. But the only way to connect to Hashem is not by my feelings. My feelings don't connect me to Hashem. Regardless of how holy and spiritual my feelings may be, they don't connect me. To connect, I need bittul. So there's the natural bittul that I possess, which therefore causes a certain degree of Asheras HaShechina, and then there is mitzvahs. And why is Maisa, this is the bottom line of this Perek. The bottom line of Perek is, why is Maisa so important? Because this way also the guf is connected to Hashem. This way also there's Asheras HaShechina on the guf and on the nefesh habahamis. And this also explains the answer to the other question we asked in the beginning of the chapter, which is, why does the neshama have to be enclosed in the nefesh habahamis? If the neshama, a person of Hashem, wants us to struggle, why can't we struggle with an entity outside of us? And the answer is, if we had to struggle with an entity outside of us, we wouldn't be connecting that enemy to Hashem. And the point is, we need to connect the guf of the nefesh habahamis to Hashem. And how do we do that? By the neshama coming and being enclosed in the guf, in the nefesh habahamis, and then doing a mitzvah. So then you also elevate and bring close to Hashem and have Asheras HaShechina also on the guf and on the nefesh habahamis. That's all nice, but we still have a major question. Why? In other words, all we did is we pushed off the question. We asked, why is Maisa important? And what did we answer? To connect the guf and the nefesh habahamis. Why does the neshama have to engage in the nefesh habahamis? Because this way you elevate the nefesh habahamis. But why is that important? We still have another why. Why is it important to connect the guf and the nefesh habahamis to Hashem? Why is it not enough that the neshama should connect to Hashem? The whole explanation, that it's not enough to do mitzvahs, with your mouth, with your heart. It has to be in action, is because you have to elevate your guf, you have to elevate the nefesh habahamis. Why? Who cares if my guf and nefesh habahamis don't come along for the ride? Let me sit and learn Torah all day and all night. My neshama is subsumed in the light of Hashem, is connected to Hashem, that's great. We established how Yiddishkeit is completely focused on the Maisa, completely focused on the action. Why? Because of the guf. Why? Why is the guf so important? Why is the nefesh habahamis so important? Aren't the guf and the nefesh habahamis just there to be obstacles in the way of the neshama connecting to Hashem? Isn't that their job? So disregard the obstacles, connect to Hashem. Why are the guf and the nefesh habahamis important? And here is where we come to Perek Lamed Vav, chapter 36. And as mentioned earlier on in this Perek, this is the most foundational Perek of Tanya in terms of the big Chiddush, the biggest Chiddush of the Alter Rebbe and Chassidus Chabad. The linchpin of Chassidus Chabad. Is that the correct word? Linchpin? The linchpin of, no? Of Chassidus Chabad is here in this Perek. And that is two words that we're all familiar with. Anyone who's ever heard a Lubavitcher ever speak more than 20 words has definitely come across these two words, and they would be Dira B'Tachtoina. Dira B'Tachtoina. And Dira B'Tachtoina is actually a very sophisticated philosophy and understanding. And many people just parrot the words in a very shallow way. But over the coming, especially two prakim, Perek Lamed Vav and Perek Lamed Zayin, we're going to learn the system of Dira B'Tachtonim, what it means and how it works. And the first thing we have to know about Dira B'Tachtonim is, and this is how it connects to what we were saying earlier, why is the Guf so important and why is the Nefesh B'Hama so important? Because Dira B'Tachtonim. Because they're Tachtoin, they're lowly. And Hashem wants a dwelling place in the lowly. That's on the tip of the fork, but let's turn this inside. Perek Lamed Vav. V'hinei muda azois. It is known, Maimer Azal, that which Chazal tell us in the Medrash Tanchuma, Shetachlis Brias Olam Haza, that what is the purpose of the creation of this world? Ushenesava Kadosh Baruch Hu liyes leidira b'tachtoinim, was Hashem's desire to have a dwelling place b'tachtoinim. Hashem created this world because He wanted a dwelling place b'tachtoinim. What does b'tachtoinim mean? In the lowest realms. No, what is Tachtoinim? Why is this world? What makes it the lowest world? We know there are many spiritual worlds, and this world is described as Olam Haza HaTachtoin, this lowly world. What makes this world lowly? Why is this world a Tachtoin? So obviously we're not dealing with physical or spatial considerations over here. It's not as if the higher spiritual worlds are somewhat spatially higher than our world. So what is Tachtonim? It's a simple question. We all know this is a lowly world. What makes it lowly? Spiritually, what makes one thing higher or lower than another? So the simple answer is where there's more godliness present, right? So that's a higher world. And where there's less godliness present, that's a lower world. Says the Alter Rebbe, when we're trying to define what does it mean that Hashem wanted a dwelling place in the lower worlds, we have to understand that from Hashem's perspective, there's no higher, there's no lower. There's no such thing as a higher world or a lower world. Why? Because Hashem fills all the worlds equally. Hashem is equally present in all the worlds. So if the definition of higher or lower is where Hashem is more or less present, then from Hashem's perspective there's no such thing as higher or lower because He's there equally everywhere. But the explanation of the matter is before the world was created, Hashem was alone. He was Himself, one and the only one. And He filled the entire place where the world was created. So now Kain hu lefanav yisbarach. That's the exact way it is by Hashem. Nothing changed. By Hashem, He's everywhere, equally. There's no difference. Rak shashinuihu. So what makes one place higher, one place lower? What makes one world higher, one world lower? The difference is El HaMikablim Chayusei Va'ira Yisbarach. The difference is for those who are receiving the energy and the light from Hashem. So the difference is only from the perception of the recipient, not from Hashem's perspective. From Hashem's perspective, there's no such thing as higher or lower. Shemikablim Ayidei Levushim Rabim, because we know the different worlds receive their energy from Hashem through many garments, hamachasim u'mastirim oiri yizbarach, that cover and conceal the divine light. In the words of Kabbalah, these are called simtsumim, the different contractions which cause that the light should be lessened and diluted. But again, this is only from the perspective of the recipients. From Hashem's perspective, nothing changed. Kidiksiv, as the pasuk says, Ki la yirani ha'adam v'choy. The pasuk says that a person cannot see me and survive and live. That's the pasuk pshat of the pasuk. Pasuk in Kisisa. But the Medrash says on this, the Medrash, the Pirsha Razal, Shafilo hamalachim hanikroim chayis, ein royin chulu. The Medrash has a different understanding of this pasuk. Ki lo yirani adam, because no human being can see me. V'choy, and even those malachim are called chayis, they also can't see me. Lo yirani adam, no human can see me. V'choy, and no angel can see me. Because the way it works in creation is that Hashem created everything, receives light, the light of Hashem, the energy of Hashem, by way of these garments that conceal and cover. This is the idea of the chain of the different worlds, and how the worlds descend from one level to another level. What does it mean to descend from one level to another level? Because the more you go down, the more levushim there are, the more garments hamastirim that cover up, they conceal ha'ir v'chayish mimenu yizbarach, the energy and the light that emanates from Hashem. Ad, until shenivra olam haza hagashmi v'achumri mamish, until we got to this world, this physical, material world. That is the lowest world. There is no world that's lower than our world. Because there's the ultimate hiddenness over here. An absolute darkness. So when the Rebbe says this is the lowest world, why is it the lowest world? This is because when Hashem got to us, He said, okay, that's it. We're stopping over here. No more worlds lower than this. If the definition, again, we have all these seder shtashlos, the definition of, you have these infinite amount of worlds, one higher than the other. What does one higher than the other mean? That in one there's more gilui oyer. In every world, the higher world, there's a higher revelation. Lower, there's lower revelation, lower revelation, lower revelation. And then we hit our world. In our world, it's not that we have a lower revelation. There's no revelation. So there can't be a world lower than ours. Because you can't go below nothing. You can't go below zero. The weather can go below zero. In this area, you have every single world represents a gradation of Helam v'Hester. This is how little oil comes in, this is how a little less, and then we reach our world, there's nothing. That's why it's the lowest world, because it's absolute Helam v'Hester. Not only isn't the light of Hashem revealed over here, it's filled with klipa and setar achra shehi neged Hashem mamish. Not only Hashem isn't revealed, you have her opposition to Hashem. Loimar ani va'avsi oy, to the extent that the world declares, I am and I exist and I don't even have a creator. Not only is there no revelation, but there's the antithesis of that. There's absolute concealment and even opposition to Hashem. Okay, so we've defined what does it mean a tachten. We say that the Eibishter wants, we said Hashem wants a dira b'tachtoinim, He wants a dwelling place over here in this world, which obviously we have to define what a dira is, what a dwelling place is, but first thing we did is we defined what it means a tachten. Tachten, again, is not from Hashem's perspective. From Hashem's perspective, this world and the highest world is all the same because He's equally present everywhere. But it's talking about from the perception of the recipient, our world is the lowest because we receive nothing. We receive no revelation whatsoever. And now the question is, Hashem created all these worlds. He created the higher worlds. He created the lower worlds. And what is the purpose of it all? Is the purpose of creation the higher worlds, or is the purpose of creation the lower worlds? Or is the purpose of creation our world the lowest world? the purpose of the chaining down of these worlds. And the fact that the worlds come down level after level. Hashem's purpose in creation is not that he desired the world of Atzilus, or he did not that he desired Gan Eden. Why? Because they are merely a Yerida Ma'er Panav Yisbarach. What does that mean? We'll get that. We'll explain that in a second. Rather, the Tachlis is Elam Haza Tachten. Shekach Allah b'ritzoni Yisbarach. That's what Hashem wanted. Li is nachas ruach lefanav Yisbarach, that Hashem should get pleasure. Kadeskafia sitra achra, when the sitra achra is suppressed. V'yishapich hashoicha l'nahira, when the darkness is transformed to light. Sheyoir Hashem ein seif baruchu. B'makem hachoishech v'sitra achra. Hashem wanted to be present in the place of the darkness, in the place of the klipa. Shal kolo elam hazach kuloi, of this entire world. We spoke before about the idea of light, and how Kabbalah talks about everything that emanates from Hashem as light. What is all the higher worlds? As we mentioned, they are different gradations of revelation of Hashem, of Gilui of Hashem.
That's the Sheva Rekiim.
The Sheva Rekiim and all the other different madrigas. They're all different levels in Gilui of Hashem. Says the Alter Rebbe, it can't be that was the purpose of creation of the world. Hoyel v'lahem yerida ma'ir panav yizbarach. What are all these things? None of them are anything new. What are they all? All they are diluted forms of Hashem. What makes Olam Atzilus greater than this world? What makes it higher? There's more revelation of Hashem. Is that what Hashem desired? The revelation of Him? Why would Hashem desire the revelation of Him? The revelation of anything is lower than the thing itself. Simple notion, right? The Oyer is lower than the Moyer. So here we have all these higher worlds, all these spiritual worlds, and all of them are, what is their greatness? Is that there's Gilui of Hashem. Is that what Hashem wanted? Gilui of Himself? There's nothing new there. What is the only thing that is new that was created? The Ur is not new. Ur is a reflection of Hashem. The light is a reflection of Hashem. In the whole story of creation, there's only one thing that was created which is new. And that's not Ur. Ur is a Yerida Ma'ir Panav Yisparach. Ur, all it is, a diminished form of Hashem Himself. It's like one thing, a diluted something. If you want the Ur, let's put it in different words. If you desire Ur, then what you're really desiring is the Moyer, desiring Hashem. Hashem is desiring Himself. Then why did He create the worlds if He's desiring Himself? What did Hashem create? What's the one thing new that Hashem created?
Adam.
Is Yeshus, is darkness. That didn't exist beforehand. Darkness didn't exist. So when Hashem created everything, it wasn't for light, it was for the darkness. Where is there darkness? In this world. That's why we know that when Hashem, that the purpose of the creation of everything was this world, because the only thing that Hashem really created was darkness. Everything else is just Himself in a diminished form. And obviously that's not what Hashem is out for. Himself in a diminished form. Now why would Hashem want darkness? We don't know. And that's why the Rebbe Rashab points out, we say, Nis'ava Kadosh Baruch Hu liyis loidir betachtoinim. Hashem had a taiva. And they say, the Alter Rebbe said, Af a taiva frek minish ken kasha nisht. When you say you want chocolate, why?
Yeah,
go ask. You can't. Why did Hashem want it? I don't know. But we know. But you can't say that Hashem wanted oir. It makes no sense. That's not new. Oir always existed. Even before the world was created, there was oir. And now you're just making the lower levels of oir. The only new thing was created was choshech. That's what Hashem wants. Hashem wants that ha-choshech yo'ir. Hashem wants that the darkness should illuminate. That He should be present in the darkness. In the guf. And this is the revolution of the Alter Rebbe. We're standing here on the arch of the Alter Rebbe. Because He really turned everything on its face. The traditional understanding in Yiddishkeit before the Alter Rebbe came along was that everything is about Oir, everything is about Kedusha. So why is there Choshech? Why is there the Nefesh Bahamas? Why is there the Guf? Everything is about Kedusha, about the Neshama, about Kaneten, right? But Oir. What's the purpose of Choshech? When you ask the Yid, why did Hashem create Choshech? The answer would be, what? Bechira, to test you, to give you free choice. Comes along the Alter Rebbe and says, no. The purpose is the Choshech. As we'll see soon. Haneshama atzma einat tzricha tikun. The neshama doesn't need tikun. The neshama is perfect. Why did the neshama come down into this world? Because the tachlis is the guf. The tachlis is to elevate the guf. Tachlis is to elevate all the physical things in Elam Hazah Gashmi. And this is also true on a very personal level. When you look in the mirror and all those things about yourself that you don't like, those are the things that make you a tachton. That's actually what makes you special. That's what makes you relevant. I might have mentioned this before, I don't remember. I said this a few times recently, I don't know if I said it over here. Moshe goes up to heaven to get the Torah. Malachim see him.
We
We spoke about this?
I think so, yeah.
And they said, what are you doing here? He says, I'm coming to get the Torah. They start laughing. You're coming to get the Torah. He says, what do you mean you're coming to get the Torah? You guys, physical people, you're not going to respect the Torah. You're not going to treasure the Torah. And Hashem says to Moshe, they have a point. What are you going to answer them? So what does Moshe tell them? He says, let's look at this Torah. What does it say in the Torah? Did you ever go down? Were you ever Mitzrayim? Allah say no. What else is saying in Torah? And they goes to the whole Aseret Hadibris. Moshe says, none of these apply to you. Do you have parents? Do you have a Yetzer Hara? No. Okay. Moshe, so Moshe won. But what does that mean? Malachim actually they're a good Tanya. They're a good Tanya. Why is Hashem giving the Torah to human mortals who are going to mistreat it and disrespect it? And what was Moshe's response? You know what? We get the Torah. We have Yetzer Hara. You know why we get the Torah? Because we were Mitzrayim. We're much lower than you guys. You guys never went to Mitzrayim. You guys don't have a Yetzer Hara, so you don't get the Torah. We get the Torah. Why? Because we're lower than you. Because we're a Tachten. And that's a fascinating thing that we get over here from this Perek in Tanya. You know, we complain about a Yetzer Hara. But if we didn't have a Yetzer Hara, then we'd be as irrelevant as a Malach. Malachim don't have a Yetzer Hara. And how relevant are they? In the grand scheme of things. You know, we say that, Alter Rebbe says later in Tanya, that Malachim shoylim, right? Where's the Eibush? No, Malachim, they're all in heaven, and where's the Eibush there? And what do they answer to each other? He's down there, he's with the Yidden. We say this in davening, we say every day. We say the Malachim, they say Kaddish, and they're Malachim, you know, right? We're talking about this tremendous avodah of the Malachim, which we can only begin to imagine this avodah of the Malachim. Oinim be'ema v'oinim be'yira, right? With fear and with awe and with reverence, they scream, Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish. And then the Ifanim v'chayis HaKodesh, Berash Gadol, they're completely overwhelmed. Baruch Kved Hashem Imkemei. And what's the next words we say in davening? Avas Oilam, Avtanu. At the end of the day, and who does the Eibishter love? Not the Malachim. Not the Malachim. Malachim aren't very relevant to the Eibishter. Avas Oilam, Avtanu. The Eibishter came and gave us the Torah. Why did he give us the Torah, not the Malachim?
To make a mitzvot.
Because we have a Yetzer Hara. What's the one thing that we have and they don't have? It's Yetzer Hara, which is such a strange thing, because if you go over to Yid and you ask the Yid, what makes you special? So what's the Yid usually going to answer? What's the natural answer Yid gives? I have a neshama, nefesh elokis. Really, what's the answer? What makes you special?
Yetzer Hara.
You know what makes me special? Is that I'm a person who has anger management problems, and I have an ego, and I'm selfish, and I don't like to daven, and I have tivus. All these things which you look at and you say, these are all my issues and all my problems, and I wish I didn't have any of them. That's why you're important. Because the Eibishter wants, Hashem wants adir b'tachtoinim. Hashem wants that that Torah, mitzvahs, and alakus should be present, dafke, in a place of tachtin. And that's what we learned in the last Perek. We'll continue on Mitzvah on this in the next Perek, next week. We learned in the last Perek. When you learn Torah, that's amazing, that's beautiful. Because when you're learning Torah at this moment, you are connecting, you're Mekasher and Miyachid, you're connecting your neshama, your nefesh elokis with the Eibishter in this Yichud Gomer. That's beautiful. But at the end of the day, why? Because what's the main thing is to connect your nefesh habahamis and your guf to Hashem. Why? Because the Eibishter wants a dir b'tachtoinim. That's where the ultimate kavanah is. That's why, as we'll learn later, if you're learning Torah and there's a mitzvah that has to be done, what's the halacha? It's a mitzvah a mitzvah that can't be done by someone else. You have to be mafsik, you have to stop learning Torah, and you have to go do the mitzvah. Why? Because the main thing is the lasoisei being mekasher, the guf. And really, the whole Chassidus Chabad, as we stand here on the yard site of the Baal Tanya, the whole Chassidus Chabad is based on this one kag, on this one chiddush, which is that the purpose isn't oir. The purpose, the tachlis hakavana is betachtoinen. The tachlis hakavana is in the choshech, is in the choshech. And this really reframes who we are, really reframes our understanding of ourselves, and our feeling about ourselves. And that I am a tachton, Baruch Hashem, I'm a tachton. Baruch Hashem. And you know what? I look around the room and I think I'm the biggest tachton in the room. Even better. Right? Because that means that the tachlis hakavana is in me more than anyone else. Me more than anyone else. So our flaws are not reason to despair. And when a person looks at himself, in a practical way, when a person looks at himself and thinks that he's in a very, very low state, and he's right. We're not talking about the person who's being delusional. A person who sees him or herself and they say, I'm in a very low state. And it's even possible that the reason why I'm in a low state is not because Hashem created me in this way, but then afterwards I did a lot of help to advance the cause of me being a tachton. So you should know that too is Hashgacha Pratis. And that also is because ultimately, this state where you are, in this very, very low level, is the Eibishter wants that level of tachton should be elevated through Torah and through mitzvahs. And that is the ultimate nachas that we give the Eibishter, as we just said over here. When Kadeskafi Sitra Achra, there's a tremendous nachas. When you suppress the Sitra Achra, Vishapcha Chasheichel Nahira, and you transform the Choshech to Oir, which these are two different levels. First we suppress the Choshech, and then we transform the Choshech, and through these two inyanim, we bring about the ultimate kavanah in the creation of the world. And we'll continue Mitzvah Shem on this next week.